and getting that 7th ring. Friday, he's not holding back on HBO's The Shop, dropping some not suitable for network TV words about a team that didn't want to sign him in free agency. But for Brady, it's on to thinking about the next Lombardi. As for who can stop him, Mike Garofolo breaks it down with our experts.
Here for Total Access Overtime, Cynthia Freeland joining us on the far right. As always, in the middle, my buddies Jane Slater and D'Angelo Hall. And today, we are going to discuss the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Mike Evans, their wide receiver, saying that they have the most talent of any team out there, which is not that crazy, considering they retained, I don't know, pretty much everybody. But we don't just hand out trophies. We like to actually play the season. And before we do, we like to talk about the season and make predictions that always stand up. So, Jane Slater, I'm going to start with you, because today's question du jour is what team in the NFC can actually give the Buccaneers fits and make a run for the NFC title instead of Tampa?
All right, I know this is going to sound like a throwaway because I cover the Dallas Cowboys, and after the season they came off of, I can understand why me submitting them as a team to consider would be laughable. But consider this. This team, when you have Dak under center, is a confident team. It is a team that has put up gaudy numbers when he's been under center. And it's been an offense that's been able to put up 35-plus points. Your problem has been the defense. And, look, I know there's been a lot of talk about Dan Quinn and what he didn't accomplish in Atlanta and maybe what his defenses haven't done. Well, what I haven't seen done in a couple of years is the energy and enthusiasm from some of these defensive players, namely a guy like Randy Gregory, who's experiencing only his second mini camp since he was brought on as a rookie. He was clear-eyed and had a, to quote Jalen Smith, a clear-eyed view as it related to this defense. And Micah Parsons, the rookie, is standing out so much. It feels like this defense is getting creative in a sense that they're trying to find ways to put him on the football field, even alluding to the fact that he was a pass rusher in college and he's working out with some of that with DeMarcus Lawrence. And then combine that with the fact that you've got what seems like an added buy-in from Ezekiel Elliott. All the off-the-field issues off the table now. You know, the problems with the drops last year. Well, he's been working out with a trainer. He looks fit. He looks ready. But I think it just goes back to Dak Prescott. And if you put all that together, plus this offensive line that is seemingly healthy, the return of Tyron Smith, who I saw smile more in interviews with us last week than I've ever seen him smile because he said he missed football, and a guy like Lyle Collins, who feels his best since he's been working through some of the injury. If they can put all these pieces together, guys, I really think that they could make a run for that NFC title.
And, Jane, if I could push back, look, everything you said about the Dallas Cowboys offensively, when you think of to a man the kind of firepower that they're going to put on the football field with Dak Prescott, if he's healthy, it is scary. But every time I think about the Dallas Cowboys, and you know this, Jane, being I'm a Washington guy, I'm a little bit of a homer too, but I get to see Dallas, and for some reason, it's just that defensive side of the football, it just always scares me. And I know Dan Quinn's going to bring a different feel, a different energy that, you know, a lot of those guys in Seattle and those Seattle cover 3 style of defenses played with. But I tell you what, you can have all the energy in the world, and if you can't go out there and stop guys, rush the passer, this defense is going to be so much simpler than what Mike Nolan ran last year. And so those guys had a mutiny on their hands in Dallas because they did not like Mike Nolan. So I know they'll like Dan Quinn. I just don't know if they got the personnel, Jane.
Well, I do want to jump in here real quick, and then, of course, I want Cynthia to weigh in here. I specifically asked not only Leighton Vander Esch, but Randy Gregory and these defensive players, do you feel like you have a clearer vision for the defense? And it was a resounding yes. It was Leighton Vander Esch said the scheme wasn't the hard part about last year. He said there were a lot of other things, but that was last year, and he's not going to get into that. He also talked about, so I think that tells you a lot of stuff that you need to know there.
Yeah.
But it also seems like these guys have a clear understanding of what their assignment is, and a lot of them say they're going back to things that they were doing in the past that worked. And then there has been this sort of defensive overhaul of bringing in some of these free agents and these really young, competitive guys in the room. I'm with you, D'Angelo. I've covered this team. This will be my 6th season. And then before NFL Network, I've covered them way before that. Every year they somehow get you to buy in, and us media, we're part of the problem. We get you to buy in, but I'm just telling you, the feel and the energy is different. And with a lot of these teams sort of approaching OTAs as sort of gym shorts, they were doing TV timeouts. Mike was on a loudspeaker at practice. It just felt a little different. But pull the tape. I know I've said that in the past.
Well, Jane, the beauty of it is that we're going to find out really quickly if you're going to look really dumb or really smart, because the first game of the NFL regular season just happens to be Buccaneers against the Cowboys. But let's get to some other potential contenders. D. Hall, let's hear yours, and then we're going to get to Cynthia's after that.
Yeah, well, mine is going to be a team that actually beat the Buccaneers in 2020, and it's the Los Angeles Rams. And I think about all the deficiencies I used to think this Rams offense had, right? I was always questioning Jared Goff. Even when, my good buddy Sean McVay took this job, I was routinely questioning, can Jared Goff do it? And then I see him in a game, and it's like, wow, Jared Goff, he's figured it out. He's figured it out. He knows where to throw the football, where to take his checkdowns, where to go for the home run ball. And then it'd be other games where it looks like he regressed. And so I think having seen so much of that and then having competed against Matthew Stafford, I think immediately your eyes just jump and say, wow, if you insert Matthew Stafford into this offense, this run game, something he's never had through the course of his career, he's always had so much pressure on just his arm. Can he get it done? And so, I think about watching Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers' relationship in Green Bay and knowing the little intricacies of that offense and knowing how Sean McVay can get a lot of the same things out of Matthew Stafford. And I just think the sky's the limit. And we're not talking about this #1 rated defense with probably the two most feared guys on the defensive side of the football, and Aaron Donald up front and Jalen Ramsey on the back end. So I got to go with the Rams on this one.
Well, I like the Rams, and I love Aaron Donald. I think he's the best player in football, but I think the best team in this division happens to be the Niners, who I think have a real shot at contending. You talk about Dan Quinn wanting to go back to the Super Bowl and kind of avenge that loss. You don't think Kyle Shanahan wants to do that ×2? When I look at this team, I understand we're questioning the quarterback position, but I would like to stand behind that O-line. I mean, left tackle, check. They got a new center this offseason. They really got a lot healthier. I mean, Nick Bosa being back, come on, that's ridiculous. So when I look at the NFC West, I actually think 3 teams could come out of this into the postseason, but I really think that the Niners have that chance to just take it over the top in this year.
I do believe at some point we're going to see Trey Lance this upcoming season, because everything I've heard in the spring is how impressive he's been. Now, if they're competing, we're assuming that means Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well. But I just look for Trey Lance. I know we talked about he needs some time to sit and watch, and the thought is maybe he'd have a redshirt season. I'm not so sure, and I'm not so sure that that doesn't mean that they can't compete with Trey Lance. Now, we asked for your contenders. 3 of you spoke. Nobody mentioned the Green Bay Packers, which means one of 2 things. Either you think 3 straight NFC Championship games is a little too much to ask, or, more likely, you think that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be part of the Green Bay Packers. Now, I've had these discussions with folks, and I understand that Aaron Rodgers is upset, and I realize that there are teams that would pounce. But I also realize that the Packers have held firm on this one. So my belief right here as we sit here is that Rodgers is going to come back and he's going to play at least this upcoming season with the Packers, and then we'll see what happens beyond that. So I'm going to put them still firmly in this conversation because, they didn't lose much. They lost Corey Linsley, the center, because the Chargers were willing to pay him just a ridiculous amount of money. But they were able to retain Aaron Jones. They worked things out with Preston Smith, able to keep him on the defensive side of the ball, and able to keep a couple other key pieces as well, while adding Eric Stokes, the cornerback, in the first round to help them on the back end of that secondary. They retained Kevin King, who did not have a great game against the Buccaneers, but the team liked how he played overall and knew he was a little banged up in the postseason as well. So I'll put the Packers there, and I'll kick it back to you guys with a little spin on this one and say, all right, how do you feel if I do take Rodgers away? I mean, is this still a playoff team? Cynthia, I'm going to start with you. I mean, you're our analytics expert here. Is there a number? Is there a value that you assign to Rodgers that you take him away and all of a sudden the team falls off a cliff?
Team falls off a cliff, then the Vikings win the division, and the NFC West also benefits because they all play the Packers, and then any other team that, he goes to, their whole division gets a lot worse. That's really how it manifests. When it comes out for me, I think it's something like 5.6, 5.7 game win share. That's ridiculous. That's, about the same as Patrick Mahomes, which is really also very ridiculous. So you're talking about one of, if not the best players in our entire game. Yeah, there's huge consequences for pretty much the entire league, depending on where he goes.
I agree, Cynthia. I just think there are certain players that can will their team to greatness. Aaron Rodgers is certainly one of them. And I have to wonder, if he does come back, how does that locker room feel? Now, look, he talked to a lot of his former teammates. They ride for Aaron. I don't think it's so much of that, but when you've got sort of the scar tissue he's missing from those team activities, I mean, we even just saw it in COVID. People talked when you're not getting the gelling and the chemistry and the bonding, and you're already putting Jordan Love in this weird position. I just don't see it working.
I would say this.
And Aaron Rodgers
I know folks have said
mean that much. No, I was going to say Aaron Rodgers does mean that much to any team he possibly will join. So, yes, he matters that much.
See Tom Brady.
I would say this. Yeah, but folks have said, well, it's an uncomfortable situation, and Rodgers has created this. It was uncomfortable last year, and they still made it to the NFC Championship game. I think they can work through that uncomfortability. In fact, some may say that Rodgers specializes in it, so we'll see what happens if he does return to Green Bay, and if he can bring the Packers to the verge of the Super Bowl, or at least contend with the Buccaneers once more. Jane, D-Hall, Cynthia, thank you very much.
Great stuff, guys. All right, for the first time in over a decade, the Patriots found themselves outside of the playoffs looking in, and they didn't like the view after their England. Not exactly, but if you draft a first-rounder, fans want to see them under center sooner rather than later. Will Mac Jones take over for Cam, and if so, when? The Patriots' problems are no longer Brady's. That doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing for the Bucs, though. The NFC has their sights set on the champs. Is Tampa prepared for the challenge? Plus, burning questions in mid-June for the Packers, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the rest of the teams heading into training camp. Hey, we stay in mid-form season here on NFL Total Access. Welcome to NFL Total Access. My name is MJ Acosta-Ruiz. I'm joined tonight by D'Angelo Hall and Mark Ross. They'll be here shortly. It is a big, momentous day for the NFL family. Raiders defensive lineman Carl Nassib became the first active NFL player in history to announce that he is gay. Take a listen to his announcements earlier today on his Instagram page.
What's up, people? I'm Carl Nassib. I'm at my house here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for. I'm a pretty private person, so I hope you guys know that I'm really not doing this for attention. I just think that representation and visibility are so important. I actually hope that like one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, you know, I'm going to do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate, and I'm going to start by donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project. They're an incredible organization. They're the #1 suicide prevention service for LGBTQ youth in America, and they're truly doing incredible things. And I'm very excited to be a part of it, to help in any way that I can, and I'm really pumped to see what the future holds.
The Raiders showing their support, tweeting out this, simply, proud of you, Carl. And Nassib's college teammate at Penn State, Saquon Barkley, showing his support as well, saying, much respect, brother. Let's bring in D'Angelo Hall and Mark Ross here joining me. Guys, I mean, this is huge. Understatement of the year. D. Hall, I want to start with you here. What's your reaction here from Nassib's announcement and from seeing the response there on social media?
Yeah, MJ, I mean, just extremely proud of Carl. You know, I don't know him personally, but for him to unveil himself to the world the way he did, I mean, it takes courage. It takes so much strength. You know, NFL locker rooms, MJ and Mark, you know, they're some of the most inclusive places in the world. You know, it's so many different guys from so many different backgrounds, different colors, ethnicities. You know, they believe in different things. But at the end of the day, we're all teammates. We all feel as though we're brothers. We all have each other's back. You know, hopefully the Raiders organization, as you've already saw, is showing support for Carl. I'm sure his teammates are doing the same thing. As a former player, I'm extremely proud to say that I played in the National Football League, and I'm proud to call Carl one of my brothers as well. So, Carl, I love you, man. Keep your head up. Keep fighting. You know, I just can't wait to see how this opens the door for other players because we've all been in locker rooms, and like I said, they're some of the most sacred places. I haven't been in locker rooms with guys that were gay, but I've heard stories of other teammates from other teams that had gay teammates, and that news was never leaked to anyone. That's just how secretive these locker rooms and how much of a family atmosphere that we have in those locker rooms.
Yeah, D-Hall, you're 100% right. And when I was with the New York Giants, we actually drafted Carl's older brother, Ryan Nassib, a quarterback out of Syracuse, and he used to always talk about how proud he was of his younger, bigger brother because he was a lot bigger than Ryan. But, you know, this is just hopefully just the first step in many. And as D-Hall said, as scout and growing up in scouting in the NFL, you dig about all the information about players, but this is one issue that was never really discussed or talked about or it was talked around. But you knew just based on society that there were gay players in NFL locker rooms, in college locker rooms, but it was never talked about. So this is incredibly courageous for Carl to come out like this. Hopefully this will just be the first step in many, but as we've seen with the racial and social injustice issues that we are still dealing with, this is going to take a long process. The organizations, the ownerships, the players, the teammates are all not only going to have to be allies, but accomplices in helping the community come forward. And so it's not just, I finally felt comfortable, where it is just the norm.
You guys, I have to tell you, my heart is pounding so hard. This is a conversation, I think, something I never imagined leading our show with or even having in one of our shows anytime soon. It's so huge. And just listening to you guys talk about that brotherhood, that inclusivity, right? I think the perception is that that's not the case and that there isn't support for the LGBTQ plus family within sports, within the NFL. And that's incorrect. So thank you guys for sharing that. And thank you to Carl Nassib. This is going to shift the paradigm for so many gay athletes. This is going to change lives. All right, the NFL recapping and showing their support for Nassib's announcement, adding, the NFL family is proud of you. Carl here underscoring that he also donated $100,000 to the Trevor Project, a suicide prevention organization for LGBTQ plus youth. All right, meantime, here in Los Angeles, new Rams QB Matt Stafford is getting rave reviews from his coach. So in an interview with MMQB's Albert Breer, Rams head coach Sean McVay showered Stafford with praise. He said, quote, dude's a bad mother, shut your mouth. I had to edit that a little bit for TV. And the praise didn't stop there. McVay said Stafford's even better than advertised and has an authentic way of connecting to his teammates and to his coaches. So, guys, McVay is all about the positive affirmations here with Stafford. Do you agree with his assessment so far, D-Hall?
You know what, MJ and Mark? I kind of have to agree with it because I do think Matthew Stafford can be a bad mother, you know what, in this Rams offense. I kind of predicted it, right? You see what Matt LaFleur was able to do with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not calling Matthew Stafford Aaron Rodgers, but Matthew Stafford has done a lot in the National Football League. Yes, it was for the Detroit Lions. It was a lot of meaningless football games, a lot of stat-boosting games. But this dude has seen a lot. And so just imagine Sean McVay's conversations with Matthew Stafford. Imagine as well what those conversations were like with a young Jared Goff, having to try to teach him and cultivate him. And now you have a guy who is kind of speaking your language, that veteran football savant language. And so, you know, this could be a scary combination, but it puts a lot of pressure, I think, on Sean McVay as well. We know that now Jared Goff was the problem. Now Sean McVay has this bad mother effer, as he likes to say, and now it's something they got to win. They absolutely have to win.
D-Hall, you're 100% right with this bad MFer, and it's like a new toy. Sean McVay has to say this because this is what he wanted. He ran his other guy out of town, and Jared Goff, who took them to the Super Bowl, by the way, and the playoffs last year. So Matthew Stafford, the bar for him, in my opinion, is just they have to win the Super Bowl now because Jared Goff had already set this bar despite not feeling like he was the right guy. So Matthew Stafford, his talents have never been in question. It was always just was he an ultimate winner? He's 0-3 in the playoff games. He has not led the Detroit Lions to the playoffs since 2016. Obviously, that's not all on him, but star quarterbacks raise the level of the entire organization and franchise. So Matthew Stafford now has to do it. Sean McVay has to say all these right things, and it's Super Bowl or bust for the Rams, in my view.
You know, that was probably one too many self-censoring moments that our control room is probably comfortable with during live television. All right, guys, thank you. Of course, every Monday this offseason, we're highlighting some noteworthy quarterbacks in our QB21 season. So we go from the vet in LA to another rookie across the league in this series. Today, it's Mac Jones who's in our spotlight, the 5th QB selected in the first round and taken by the Patriots with that 15th overall pick. Jones could compete with the QB whose name is, ironically enough, Mac spelled backwards, Cam, as in Newton. So the Patriots have a quarterback competition here on their hands. Jones, everything they expected him to be so far, and according to Bill Belichick, Cam Newton is ahead of where he was last year. That's a good problem to have there. Will Mac Jones be able to take over the starting QB job this season, Mark?
Well, MJ, I don't think it'll be take over from Cam Newton. Cam Newton, and evaluating Cam Newton, is one of my favorite players I've ever studied, one of the most unique talents that I've ever scouted. But I don't see that Cam Newton anymore. We know he's had the injuries. His accuracy has gone down. A lot of the indecisiveness. He's not the same sort of playmaker inside and outside of the pocket with his legs. So I think we're going to see more of the Cam Newton from last year and some struggles, which will lead to Mac Jones having to play, not actually playing better than Cam Newton. Mac, when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles, we had a plan for Donovan McNabb. We took him with the 2nd pick, actually the quarterback, the starting quarterback that Andy Reid had brought in. But there was a plan for Donovan to take over. Obviously, Donovan a lot more talented, in my view, than Mac Jones. So the Patriots definitely have a plan for when they want him to play, ideally. But if things go awry with Cam Newton, game 2 or 3 not looking like the Cam Newton that they want it to be, that might accelerate the progress of Mac Jones getting on the field.
Mark, you mentioned Donovan McNabb. He was brought in there because he brought some athleticism. And even in today's NFL, I think Cam still with that athleticism gives the Patriots the best chance to win. By them going out and getting these 2 tight ends, that's what Cam was doing successful in Carolina. He was throwing the football in the middle of the football field. They were in those run personnels that you kind of had some check with me's that when the opportunities presented themselves, you get out of that run play and you like your matchup on some of those linebackers in the passing game. So, before Cam got had to miss some time with COVID, we actually saw Cam Newton kind of progress a little bit. He was throwing the football to the point that I know I was sitting at home thinking, all right, well, maybe this thing could work. And so, we've seen Cam Newton kind of evolve, right? From the guy in Carolina that it was all about him. Now he's the guy that you hear Bill Belichick praising the most in that locker room. So, I think Cam does give the Patriots the best chance to win, but I also think, if things do go awry, it is nice to have a guy like Mac Jones who is supposed to be one of the consummate professionals, young guys who's going to come in there, do his job. I just don't quite know if the Patriots have enough around Mac Jones to just say, hey, you got the job, go win games. I think they have to play this physical style of football that I think Cam Newton gives them the best chance of playing.
There's been a lot of talk about sort of reps for Mac Jones, right? And one more parallel between these 2 QBs, because over the last 10 drafts, there's only been 3 QBs taken in that first round with less college starts than Mac Jones. One of them was Cam Newton. All right, guys, thank you. So you at home, how many wins do you think the Patriots will have in 2021? You can tell us what you think by scanning that QR code right there on your screen and vote. It'll take you straight to the poll. We'll tell you the results later on in the show. So to come on NFL Total Access, if there's one thing we know about the Chiefs receivers, it's that they're a bona fide crack team. Catching up to any of them is a tall task, but hey, we did it, and you can too. McCole Hardman joins us next. Plus, if you're a 2-time Super Bowl champ and a Hall of Famer, what you say carries a lot of weight. So when Deion Primetime Sanders weighs in on certain quarterback situations and more, yeah, we listen.
it seems like when you give them $35 million and over, they start tripping. You got everything you want, and you still aren't satisfied. I understand that we.
Patrick Mahomes has landed the cover of Madden for the second time in his career. He said last week at minicamp he didn't even know that he could be on the cover for a second time. He is sharing the Madden 22 spotlight with Tom Brady. And we are joined now by Chiefs speedy receiver Mecole Hardman. Mecole, thank you so much for coming on with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, so right now your offense, the gold standard in the NFL. And Patrick Mahomes said last week that maybe we should expect to see some new stuff from you guys. Is there a new wrinkle that you really want to see?
Well, it's hard to say with Coach Reed. I mean, he has so much stuff that he got put in and everything. So kind of I'm the guy that's just like, whatever you tell me to go do, I'm going to go do. So whatever new they got, I'm excited for it. So it's going to be interesting in training camp to see what new things they're going to bring to the table.
Mecole, you've been to the Super Bowl both times in your career, both years in your career, obviously different results. What's the vibe in that locker room like? What's different between last year and this year?
I think we kind of got like a bigger chip on our shoulder this year, knowing we didn't get the results that we wanted last year, and and all the talk that everybody doing, and everybody say that we got the target on our back, and but I don't think people realize that they're gonna get our best game as well. So I think it's just something that we can look forward to, and it's definitely gonna be another challenge for us to get back to where we want to be at. So we're looking forward to the challenge. I think we're gonna do well when it comes time to go on the field.
Now I know you got to stay humble. You're keeping it all even keel. But listen, Mahomes said that perhaps going 20-0 is definitely out there for you guys. I imagine you got to agree with that goal, right? But what's the biggest obstacle in your mind from an undefeated season?
I think it's consistency. I think in this game you can get beat on any given Sunday, Thursday, Monday, wherever you're playing. I just feel like the better team gonna win. I think our job is just to go in there with the right game plan and execute to the best of our ability, and I think we'll be fine. We got the talent in the room to do, whatever we want to put our minds to. So, yeah, 20-0 is definitely, a goal. We don't want to lose any games, no matter what the circumstances is. So, whatever Pat says, man, my quarterback, I'm signing with him. So.
Hey, so Eric Bieniemy said that in the absence of Sammy Watkins, he's expecting you to step up, have a big role. What is it about your game that gives him that confidence that, hey, we can let Sammy go. We good right here with this guy?
Man, Coach EB know what he got in me, man, and I think it's people just they're blinded by our offense and what we can bring to the table. It's hard to come into our offense, with the best tight end, the best receiver in the game, and expect and people expect you to do so many big things. And it's like, man, listen, like I'm just doing my role, you know what I'm saying? But I think with Sammy gone and the receiver spot opening up some more, it's I got all the tools and the ability to do what I need to do. So I'm definitely gonna go in there and be a dog like I am, and just my number call to take advantage.
All right, Mecole, what's a bigger adrenaline rush for you, playing in the Super Bowl or flying with the Thunderbirds?
Let's just put it like this: those Thunderbirds is something. It's something different. I think, first of all, they got all my respect from actually being in that aircraft and seeing the maneuvers that they make, and the pressure that comes into the cabin after pulling those G's is it's something that I would recommend somebody do just to see how hard it is to actually breathe. First of all, to breathe in there, and they're doing this while talking like it's nothing, and it's crazy because man, they do them G's like you finna pass out, literally you bro, I can't breathe. How can you even talk while you doing this? And yeah, the Thunderbirds is top notch. I don't think you can compare anything. It's the excitement that you get, going upside down or side to side, or the speed that they go. So I'm going with the Thunderbirds on this.
Hey, I've never had the opportunity to go up, but I've seen guys pass out. When you talk about them G's, It is real. For all the fans out there who think you're playing, those G's will put you to sleep for real.
Man.
But any other bucket list things, man? Like, you such a young player in this league. You already have accomplished so much. I played 14 years, never got never got to a Super Bowl. So any other bucket list things on your bucket list items on your list that you feeling like you need to knock out before training camp comes? It's only about 30 days till you got a report.
Nah, I don't know. I do want to go skydiving one of these days. It's something in the works right now that we're trying to get accomplished before I go back. So so hope I can go skydiving and with some people. But other than that, man, I'm just trying to train, get ready, get my mind ready, and mentally ready. And so for this big season, trying to get back to the Super Bowl one more time and win it this time. So.
Yeah, I don't know how Coach is going to feel about you jumping out of an airplane, but if you do, I highly recommend doing it with the Army Golden Knights. That's who I went skydiving with. Unbelievable experience. So we can trade pointers on that. McCole, thank you so much. Good luck heading into training camp. We know it's going to be a very interesting season for you guys.
Very.
So to come after an unfortunate 2020 season, is Dallas back in the division driver's seat? Does a minicamp no-show mean a training camp no-go for Aaron Rodgers? And is the NFL's most dynamic duo in the desert? The answers, as we go on the clock, are next.
At Domino's, we're more.
Welcome back. We're recapping our top story. A big day in the NFL as the league celebrates Pride Month. Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib using his Instagram account to come out to the world announcing that he is gay. Nassib becomes the first active NFL player to come out. Commissioner Roger Goodell releasing a statement in support of Carl, saying, quote, "The NFL family is proud of Carl for courageously sharing his truth today. Representation matters. We share his hope that someday soon statements like his will no longer be newsworthy as we march toward full equality for the LGBTQ plus community. We wish Carl the best of luck this coming season." And our good friend of the network here, R.K. Russell, who is openly gay and identifies as being part of the LGBTQ plus community, tweeting out, "Congratulations to Carl Nassib. Ball out this season, brother. Happy Pride." And former NFL wideout Julian Edelman tweeting, "Awesome moment, spreading the love to the Trevor Project. Very classy move." I agree. All right, all eyes were on Dak Prescott at the Cowboys minicamp, but according to Dak, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and La'el Collins are the most important pieces of the offense. The linemen all dealt with injuries last year, but they're healthy now. Dak is progressing as well from his season-ending ankle injury, of course. However, former Cowboy Deion Sanders, he isn't buying the positive vibes in Dallas.
No, the Dallas Cowboys ain't a team to beat. We mentioned two of the offensive players, Dak as well as Zeke. No one mentioned their line, and no one mentioned the defense that was horrific. When I say horrible, I mean horrible with a capital H last season. And how do you constitute for that in the offseason? I know you had some drafted players that you hope and you pray to pay dividends, but I don't like it whatsoever. But they will compete because the NFC East is hot garbage. Hot garbage with steam. Hot garbage in Texas right now. Hot garbage, Mississippi. And it's about 100 out here right now. It's hot garbage, the NFC East.
With steam and in Texas. All right, sounds like a great place to start on the clock. All right, guys, Prime wasn't holding back on the hot garbage description there. He doubled down. D-Hall and Mark, you know this division. I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock. Mark, are the Cowboys the favorites in the NFC East?
Without a doubt. Sorry, Dion. They're not the favorites. Everybody else is hot garbage. Well, who's the favorite then? If Dallas is it, look, they've got the best quarterback by far in the division, the best offense, explosive offense. They've got two Hall of Fame offensive linemen in Martin and Tyron Smith coming back. This offense is going to be even better than it was last year. The defense, we know they struggle. We know that. And they can't get any worse because it was franchise records for ineptitude with the defense. They brought in Dan Quinn. 8 of the 11 draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball, namely Micah Parsons in the first round. So because of that, and the offensive in the NFC East aren't that good. 25th, 26th, and 31st last year in the NFL. So it's not as if their defense has to go against formidable offenses. So for that reason, the defense will be better, not have to face great offenses with the other teams. They're the favorite.
Mark, I hear you. And I'm not a homer. I'm so far from a homer. But I got to go with the Washington football team. When I think about the way that Washington dominated that Dallas defense, you heard Prime talk about that Dallas defense. I mean, it was embarrassing to watch. I mean, I wanted Washington to run the football more through the course of the season. But it seemed like every time the Dallas Cowboys came to town, they wanted to pick on them guys. And they ran it down their throats both games. And so, to me, Washington still owns Dallas. And yes, Dak Prescott coming back is going to be a big boost. But I like this defense. No, I'm sorry. I love this defense.
Yes, D-Hall, lean into it.
You love Ryan Fitzpatrick, D-Hall. You love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Lean in. Lean in.
Career playoff wins.
It was only 90 seconds, Mark. We got to move on. All right. In today's edition of Reading the Tea Leaves in Green Bay, there is a report that Aaron Rodgers has renewed his membership at the Green Bay Country Club for the rest of the year. He skipped minicamp, and training camp is on the horizon. Should he show up, D-Hall?
You know what? Knowing that he just extended that golf membership, Aaron, don't go to camp, but go to Green Bay and get on that golf course, man. Because, look, Green Bay has to make a decision. You have drawn your line in the sand. Is the GM or is you? And I like you more, Aaron. I really do. I think y'all got a chance to win a Super Bowl if you are in the building. If y'all not in the building, that GM might be looking for another job because I don't believe in Jordan Love. So I say, Aaron, stay home, but go golfing, man. You just paid for your membership. Hopefully, they actually should have gave it to you for free. But go enjoy 18 rounds of golf, brother.
D-Hall, of course, that golf membership is comp. He's not paying for a dime in that whole city of Green Bay, restaurants or country clubs. So he don't have to worry about that. But what else is he going to do? How much golf can he play? Yes, Aaron Rodgers, show up to training camp, be the leader, be the MVP that you are as a front office. I don't think it's as bad as him going in there saying it's either me or the GM, Brian Gutekunst, and I don't think Green Bay is that sort of organization that operates like that. They have drafted Jordan Love. They have the insurance, so it's not as if they're going to have someone not able to play at all. They believe in Jordan Love. I do believe in Jordan Love, think he'll be a really good player in this league. So Aaron Rodgers, show up. Jeopardy's over with. Can't play too much golf. Go be a leader for the Green Bay Packers.
Can't play too much golf. I've never, ever heard that before, Mark. As long as he tips the beer cart people, I'm sure they're fine with it. All right, Packers report July 27th, by the way. Moving on, fellas. A.J. Green is getting a fresh start in Arizona. And in a recent interview, Green said pairing up with DeAndre Hopkins is going to be unbelievable. That was a quote. Mark, how good will this duo be?
Well, I think for A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins will be unbelievable, but I don't see the unbelievable A.J. Green anymore. A lot of older players, I've scouted tons of them. They hit a certain point. A.J. Green in his prime was maybe the best receiver, he and Julio Jones, in the NFL, but he's been injured the last few seasons. Last year, he did not look like he had the same sort of explosiveness, speed, and burst as he had in the past, and even the hands were a little suspect. And once one of those players hits that point, they generally do not regress and go back to how they were. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins will be unbelievable. Kyler Murray will need to be unbelievable for that offense. Cliff Kingsbury will have to be an unbelievable head coach and play caller for that team to get better. But I wouldn't count on A.J. Green being that unbelievable part of that duo, D-Hall.
Oh, come on, Mark Ross. You know the difference between your number one corner and your number two corner. And A.J. Green can whoop up on some number two corners. As long as DeAndre Hopkins is putting in work, handling that number one corner, I think this is going to reinvigorate A.J. Green, man. I saw him play a little bit last season. And, yes, he didn't have the best year. But like you mentioned, at one point, A.J. Green was a dog. You don't lose that mentality. All of those injuries he accumulated over the years, I think he's finally getting an opportunity to get healthy. You mentioned Kyler Murray. Having a dynamic quarterback like Kyler Murray is going to have some of these defenses playing some types of coverages that are better for the passing game because they're going to be spying Kyler. So I think A.J. Green will get some matchups that he's going to love.
Yeah, it's a 1-2 punch. Listen, if Green is healthy, that receiver room could be stacked with Christian Kirk and rookie Rondale Moore out there. All right, guys, thank you. Okay, some more news to get You caught up on Cardinals first-round pick Zaven Collins was arrested Sunday for excessive speed and reckless driving. The rookie linebacker was traveling at 76 miles an hour in a 35 zone. He was booked and later released. The 16th overall pick signed his 4-year rookie deal with Arizona on June 8th and is expected to start right away for the Cardinals. Right, there's nothing like reaching football's highest peak, and there's nothing like the target it puts on your back. Coming up, how some rebuilt, revamped, and re-energized NFC teams could present a challenge to the world champion Buccaneers.